I welcome you all to this session on socialization, the basic concept. This pertains to the course BES 121, Childhood and Growing Up. As we all know, childhood and growing up is a complex process and socialization is a part of it. In this session, we will be focusing on the basic concept of socialization, which is a part of childhood and growing up. To begin with, I will highlight the crux of the socialization process. Socialization is the process of learning of socially desired values, norms and roles by the members of a particular group or society. It is individuals' internalization of all those norms, rules of behavior, values, knowledge and traditions that have evolved and accumulated in a given society. It is an inevitable learning process all through the life for survival, enculturation and acculturation to live meaningful and dignified life. By the end of this session, you will be able to explain the concept of socialization, identify the basic or integral elements of socialization, discuss different phases or stages and levels of socialization, appreciate the roles of different agencies involved in the process of socialization, analyze both positive and negative influences of socialization, examine critically the pious and profane sides of socialization. Socialization has certain basic elements. These elements are socialization phases, that is primary socialization, secondary socialization, adult socialization and anticipatory socialization. It has levels of socialization, that is micro socialization, meso socialization and macro socialization. There are multiple agencies involved in it and the socialization happens through interactions which are all of wide variety, and this socialization will have its effects both positive and negative, and these are the basic elements and I will focus on these elements. There are different phases of socialization. The first and foremost one is the primary socialization, and this primary socialization starts at home and it starts with a child, that is infant to start with, and infant grows in the home environment first and then the infant gets exposed to peer group and neighborhood. So this is the environment in which the primary socialization takes place. To start with, at home, the child learns basic knowledge of language and basic knowledge of customs, beliefs and values, and in the process he will understand behavioral patterns of all the members of the family, father, mother, siblings and other elders who may be at home. And once this home environment socializes the child, then he gradually grows up and gets exposed to peer group. In the peer group, there will be equal relationships or equal interactions between the members, unlike in a home which is having unequal interactions, because the child cannot interact in the same way that he interacts with the peer groups because there is equal environment that prevails in the peer group, unlike at home. Then the child gets exposed to neighborhood as he grows. That is how this is an environment where the primary socialization takes place. It is in fact in the form of a foundational learning, which is in intense for a form of cultural learning, and this continues from infancy to childhood. Once the child grows further, he moves out of home and out of this neighborhood, then he gets contact with outside society, and there starts the secondary socialization. In the secondary socialization, particularly the child, when he or she starts going to school, he will have interactions with different agents of socialization there within the school. There are teachers, there are peer group, there are other members who will be interacting with the child, and that brings in a major part of socialization at the school level, though at the primary socialization it is limited to this home, peer group and neighborhood environment. When the secondary socialization process is continuing, these influences of the home, peer group and neighborhood continues simultaneously, and at the same time there will be other agencies of socialization which will be working on the child. That is, there will be religion, there will be social classes, social groups, and there will be mass and electronic media which the child gets exposed. So, here major difference between primary socialization and secondary socialization is that the primary socialization takes place in an entirely informal environment. Once the child moves out, naturally there is a prevalence of informal environment, but when the child is in the school, he will be getting formal training or the institutionalized training within the formal settings of the school. So, there will be the further socialization process in the secondary socialization, and this process will continue, and it is very difficult to draw a demarcating line between primary socialization and secondary socialization, because it is a continuous process. Thereafter, once the child crosses through the adolescence stage in the secondary socialization, then he moves on to the stage of adult socialization. Adult socialization is confining to adulthood and beyond it till the death, because you cannot draw again a line where this adulthood will end. Some people may be active till the last moment of their life without getting bedridden, without becoming more and more senile. So, this all depends upon a lot of environment, genetic environment and many other environments. That is the reason why this adult socialization is a process wherein the adult assumes major roles to perform. They may be chosen roles out of the existing roles, or he may identify new roles for himself or herself, and it is at this stage adoption of new roles takes place, and for that there are different agencies that will be operating when the adult is further interacting with the different agencies. These agencies may be global community, because the adult has moved from a small area that is home and neighborhood to a larger area, means relatively larger area like school and larger part of the society. After that, when a person or when the child after going becomes adults, will get exposed to global community, and this global community will be having its own influence in socializing the adults. Then the adult has to perform many and various roles. In the process, he has to undertake some jobs, and he has to move on to the job market, and the job market in the process will have its own impact on the adult. So, what type of jobs are required, and what type of work norms are there, roles are there, etc. The adult will come to understand, because at the school level, the child and adolescent stages, he gets an understanding of what type of qualifications will lead to what type of employment in future. So, accordingly, now having grown, the completion of adolescence stage, in the adult socialization stage, he will be involved with interactions with different agencies like governments, and now the social networking is there in a rampant stage, and there are virtual communities to promote the professional interests of the concerned groups. This is how this socialization continues, and it will be continuing throughout the life. But there will be another type of socialization which we call as anticipatory socialization, This anticipatory socialization is altogether different in nature. It has nothing to do with this primary socialization, secondary socialization, or adult socialization, because the second anticipatory socialization happens when a person wants to move to new areas, new groups which are aligned to his culture, because at home he has learned particular culture, with the neighborhood he has extended the cultural understanding, and when he moved out he got the cultural understanding of the larger part of the society. As an adult he learns about different cultures at a global level, but when he wants to really move out of the existing place or the group, naturally the person has to adapt to new culture so that he will be able to survive there. In the process, what happens is there will be adoption of new culture, such as new values, new norms, etc. will be internalized by the adult before going and joining the anticipated group, so that the survival becomes easier. It's all for survival. So, the entire process of socialization is aimed at enculturation and acculturation. Enculturation is the process wherein he understands about his own culture, and acculturation is when he moves out of the existing culture. He will adopt certain elements of the new culture and give up certain elements of his own culture. That is how the acculturation takes place, so that there can be harmonious living of the individuals. In the socialization process, there are levels. We have discussed thoroughly about the different phases, and now these phases operate at different levels. As I was emphasizing, under primary socialization, which happens at family, peer group, and neighborhood level, it is all small locality, small area within a particular community level. So, this is a micro level, we can say. So, the socialization that is happening at that level is called micro level socialization, because it is a kind of miniature world, small world, and it is a kind of microcosm, we can say. So, it is that level wherein only limited understanding of the cultures, values, norms, etc. takes place, and they perform the limited roles at the micro level. The moment the child starts growing, as I told, the adult socialization happens, and during that process, when adolescence stage has been crossed, then different institutions will start operating. At that level, in addition to the microcosm, this micro level socialization gets further extended, and here the school, religion, social classes, social groups, etc. will be operating, and by then the child gradually grows to become an adult. By the time the child grows and becomes adult, he enters into macro level socialization, where the entire world is involved, because the child, once he moves from microcosm to mesocosm, that is outside specified community, beyond own community, then the entire world will be interacting with the individuals. So, in this process, the adult will get interactions, engage in interactions with different types of employers, government agencies, mass media will be operating, that is newspapers, printed media, electronic media, and now this digital media is there, social networking, and virtual environments are there. All will be collectively operating at the macro level, so that the adult can get perfectly socialized, so that he will be ready to play any role of his choice, or that is assigned by any particular agency which is in the interest of promoting the social development. There are different agencies, as I have been highlighting, right from the primary socialization to secondary socialization to adult socialization, and at the different levels, micro level, meso level, and macro level socializations. These agencies are of course not different. Same agencies will be operating, whether it is in the phases or it is in the levels, but only difference is at different levels different agencies will be more effective, and at different phases also particular agencies will be more effective. For example, family is there, and in the family level, when the birth of individual takes place, he is in the infancy stage, and first ever social interaction takes place at the family level, and it is at that level infant learns language acquisition, he learns about the relationships between the family members, rules, customs, habits, behaviors of individual families, and the morals and the role models, etc., will be learned by the individual. It is in fact a learning process that begins at the home in the form of socialization. And once the peer group starts operating, it will be the activities, norms, and friends who will be working on parity, and they will have more freedom of interaction, and equality of interaction will be there between the peer groups. And the child will learn about different values, norms, and roles, and these norms, roles, values, etc., are different from what is learnt at family, and peer group is totally different. And once the neighborhood comes into picture, his understanding of values, norms, and roles gets further extended, and he will learn altogether different customs, different practices, and different discipline and orderly behavior, because what has been learnt at home may not be sufficient for the child to survive in the peer groups, and what has been learnt in family and peer groups also is not sufficient, so that the neighborhood engages the individuals in their own customs, so that diverse cultures are understood by the child. School or the teacher is another agency of socialization, which will help in socialization of the individual further. And punctuality is one aspect, because the child has to start at home by the specified time and reach at the school by specified, like that the child will learn about punctuality, then about discipline, because discipline learned at family and in the peer group and in the neighborhood is totally different. So he gets exposed to different kind of discipline, and here is the resilience, because he is involved in more activities at home, school, neighborhood, etc., and he will learn about the teamwork, working with the group, and what kind of cooperation is required, and different learning environments he will come to know, and there will be ideal behavior of certain people which he or she will be able to understand. And as far as the language is concerned, though language is learnt at home, at a school level, the grammar will be learnt, and other rules and socialization settings will be there. Rituals, customs, ceremonies, dress code, language, beliefs, values, attitudes, love for others, meaning of life, guidelines on how to live in the society are all imparted by the agency of religion. So religion has its own place in socialization of the individuals. At the school level, there are classes like first class, second class, third class, like that. So that class is totally different, but the child will learn about social classes the moment he starts interacting with diverse groups in the larger society, and this social class is totally different from what the child has learnt at the school level. At the school level, classes are different. Here it is a different class, and each social class will have its own beliefs, work norms, attitudes, opinions, and world views, and the individual gets a perfect understanding of a particular social class, and once he interacts with more and more social classes, he will be in a position to understand the diversity of values, norms, and roles of different classes in the society, and that is how this socialization arena is extended at this level of interaction. And social groups are there. These groups will be of different kinds. These groups may be having all peer groups, or different age groups, or members from different classes, and these social groups will have altogether different norms, rules, and governing behaviors which the individual has to adopt. So it is all the adaptation of the norms, values, etc. that take place, so that individuals can assume appropriate role at that particular level. Similarly, we can notice different ethnic groups. Each ethnic group has its own beliefs, values, and customs, and unless the individual is aware of these beliefs, values, and customs, it will be difficult for our individual at any stage to adjust with different ethnic groups. Next comes global community. Global community has its own norms, it has its technology, communication networks, and global dynamics, and this is particularly important for all the adults who will be effectively interacting with the global community. And job market has its own work norms, money, rules, and roles which will be acquainted by this market for all the individuals who will be entering the job market. The government roles are different. It comes out with the laws, formulates laws. There will be sense of security for individuals, and there will be sanctions or the punishment in case of violation of any law. So here the individuals will understand how the government functions, and different constitutional authorities at different levels will be functioning, and what are all the laws that operate, and what are all the roles that they perform. They will be in a position to understand. Then mass media, electronic media are there, and mass media has displays or portrays stereotypes wherever they are, and it has beliefs, values, networks, friends, and major purpose the role is surveillance as well. Surveillance, wherever something wrong is happening, it will immediately appear in the media, whether it is print media or any other media. And same is the case with electronic media. And in the case of electronic media, they have more persuasion, surveillance, and linkages, entertainment, and interpretation. And these agencies, that is electronic media, perform different roles, catering to different sections of the community, and all the individuals will get a variety of exposure through this electronic media. And there are social networking media. These have their own standards, rules, values, and interests, which will be promoting, confining to its members only. So how these things operate, the individual will come to know, adult individual, and that is how the socialization is extended. And there will be virtual communities which will be operating with networks, values, professions, interests, and hobbies, and it will be promoting their networks and values. So now, having understood the different roles of different agencies, it is time for us now to take an overview of socialization. You have gone through the different phases and different levels of socialization, wherein different agencies have been involved, and from that you will understand that the socialization process is a dynamic process and not a fixed or a constant one. It is a lifelong learning process because it starts with the birth of the child and continues till the death of the individual, and it is a complex and continuous process where it is multi-phased and staged, and it develops cognitive abilities, affective abilities, and psychomotor abilities. So how we think, how we feel, and how we act, all these things are dependent upon the nature and extent of our socialization. And this socialization process operates at different levels, that is micro, meso, and macro level, and it moves from microcosm to macrocosm, because microcosm is the small area, small world at local area level, starting with home, neighborhood, and peers. And there are this socialization is in fact agency driven, and at different levels and phases different agencies operate. That is how it is agencies driven, and multiple agencies work in multiple environments, and there will be shifting roles, choices, and impacts when our work or interact with the individuals. It is all full of interactions and effects, and the interactions are wide ranging from childhood to adulthood, and when global interactions takes place, the range is totally unlimited, and in the process there will be positive and negative interactions, negative and positive effects also, and there have we can notice unequal interactions at home level, equal interactions at the peer group level, and restricted environment at home and unrestricted environment once the individual in the process of growing up moves out of the home. And at the same time there will be many predictable interactions and many unpredictable interactions as well, which all will be helpful in socializing the individuals. And in the process there may be peaceful interactions, and there may also be violent interactions, and that is how it may lead to either perfect understanding of the social norms, values, and roles, or sometimes it may lead to profane side of the effects that may lead to criminal actions by the individuals who fail to understand in the process of interactions with different agencies. To sum up, the essence of socialization is inculcation of socially desired values, norms, and roles throughout a lifelong learning process. It is essential because it is inevitable for survival and progress of the individuals and the society, and basic elements involved are the individuals to be socialized, the socializers, and the processes involved. In this process, all individuals of the society at all levels, and all groups and sections at all levels, local, national, and international levels, and similarly all institutions at all levels also are a part of the socialization process. And all these form different contexts in which the individual lives and grows, as a result of which it will have wide ranging effects, and these effects as I explained or have been positive or negative, or can be perfect to profane sides. And to conclude, it is all about internalization and perpetuation of all those norms, rules of behavior, values, knowledge, and traditions that have evolved and accumulated in a given society for its continuous progress. And the outcome of socialization should be that we all should live and let others live a meaningful, harmonious and dignified life all through, at all places and at all times. But in spite of all these things, it is sad that we keep reading about so many types of crimes in the newspapers, watching about the same in electronic media, and also hearing about the same from colleagues and in the society. So where do the things go wrong in the entire process of socialization? No agency actually teaches or individuals to learn such things, but how these things are coming, and what are those agencies which are really contributing to the profane side or the criminal aspects of socialization, that in fact needs to be curtailed, so that the entire world can live in a harmony and for the progress of the entire society at all levels. Thank you very much for your patience.